Okay, released by Cisco. I'll share you this with you over the email. Okay. Yeah,
okay.
so that you can refer this study guide. All right.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, so this is the one which has been written by one of the famous, writer of Cisco, is Todd Lamley.
Okay.
You might be knowing once you are going as it's a very good book to be referred for the CCNA examination. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. So let's just to start. Just want to know a couple of things. Like, do you have any idea about the basics of networking, or like anything? What do you know about networking, or how does it work? Yeah.
I read the little bit book, so I have idea. To network is two or more computer connected together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. With router and internet.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. No problems. So you have a fair bit of idea, like how does it work, and
Yes.
No problems. So fine. All right. So let's just go ahead and start with the basics of the networking. All right. So internet networking basics. Now this is a very basic concept. Okay. Now before seeing this example, I'll just tell you like exactly how the networking works. Okay. So whenever, let's say, you connect your PC to any of the device, like let's say an ISP might have given you a device. Okay. When you connect your port to your laptop or your personal device, right? And you get connected to the internet, right? You get internet out of it. All right. So how do you get an internet? Like whenever you are connecting port towards your PC, you might be getting some IP address. Okay. Now I hope you know a little bit about the IP address. Okay.
Yeah, I heard a little bit IP address.
Yeah, no problem. We have a separate chapter for IP address. So this is for a basic example, like what is IP address? So IP address is something which has been given, assigned by a specific ISPs, internet service provider. Like let's say you might be having AT&T, Verizon, and all those who give internet connections to the corporate offices and at homes, right? So each and every organization, they will be having a defined set of IP addresses, okay, which they give it to their clients, right? So when you are connecting to the internet, you might be seeing some IP address and somewhat like this. You see this? You have a command prompt, right? You see this? So this is my machine's command prompt, and when I say ipconfig, okay, and when I hit enter, you see this? This is the IP address which has been assigned to me. 210.254.54.56. Okay, so this is the IP address which has been given by the ISP for whom I have taken the internet connection. Okay, so my machine is talking to your machine. I'm able to present my screen to your screen, right? You can see my screen. So we are talking over the internet, right? We're talking about the internet, right? So why? Because my machine is connected to the internet provided by my ISP provider, okay, and you are able to view my screen because you're also connected to the internet. So the diagram is something like this. Let's say I'm sitting in, this is my city, and this is my laptop, okay, and let's say I have an internet connection of some ISP, my ISP, all right, my ISP over here, okay, all right, and then you are sitting in some different city. I mean, in some different geos. So may I know which city you are sitting in right now?
LA.
All right, right. So you're in LA. So let's say your machine is this one, LA, and you also have an internet connection. Okay, your ISP. Like okay. Now these ISPs are interconnected to each other. Okay. So my machine, which is connected to the internet, it is this traffic is being routed via this ISP. And all the way it is going to your machine, so that we guys, sitting in a different corners of the world, we are able to talk to each other, right? So that's how your basic networking works. All right? Yeah. So I'm having an IP address given by my ISP. This guy gives me an IP address, and at the same time, your ISP gives you an IP address, right? And these two IP addresses talk to each other. All right? And that's how the communication happens. All right? So that's the basic about it. All right. So let's just start with the basic network. Okay. So have you heard about the hubs? The hub switches and all those kind of stuffs?
Yeah, I heard about it, but not knowing about the hubs and
Okay,
everything.
exactly what it does. No problems. That's okay. Okay. Now,
Okay.
you might have seen like in a network setup, like there are devices. This is called a hub. Okay.
Okay.
Hub is a small box kind of device which will be having a different kind of ports. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Different ports, like let's say 8 to 10 ports, where this connection has been connected, like from the different laptops. Let's say you have two desktops, right? So you take a LAN cable, and you connect it to the hub.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, you take a LAN cable and you connect it to different hub. So likewise, these two guys, the system of Bob, all right, and the system of Sally, okay, they connect to a single network device called hub, okay, and they do a communication via this particular hub. Anything what Bob is sending will be coming to hub, and then it will be going to Sally via this. Same way, in case if Sally is sending something, it will go to Bob like this. Let's say Bob wanna copy any file, okay, which is stored in Sally's machine. Let's say any file, like let's say anything, like let's say a video file. Okay. So Bob, Sally will be having one IP address, okay, and Bob will be having an IP address, okay. So when Bob sends a request, saying that I want to copy this IP address, how does the communication happens? The communication will happen that Bob will send a request. Now let's say take any IP address, like let's say the IP address of Bob is 10.10.10.1, okay, and the IP address of Sally is 10.10.10.2, okay. So both these IP addresses are stored in this particular device. Okay. All right. So when Bob sends a request, this guy, this networking device knows that I'm getting a request from a particular IP address A, okay, and then the destination is the IP address B, that is the IP address of Sally 10.10.10.2, right? So this guy knows that the source IP is the IP address of Bob, that is IP A, and the destination is the IP address of Sally, that is IP B. So what it does, when it comes over here, it processes the request. It says, oh fine, okay, the destination IP address is Sally's IP address, let me forward the request over here, okay. So Bob reaches to Sally's machine, and from here he can fetch the data and copy it. Okay, so that's how it works. So this is general normal networking stuff. All right. So that's how a normal networking stuff works. Okay. Fine. Now there is something called the MAC addresses of the devices. You know about it? MAC addresses, No problem. It's okay. Okay, fine. All right. So whenever, let's say any device, any physical device, the laptops, the desktops, the printers, okay, anything, okay, they have a unique address called the MAC address. Okay, the MAC address is something. The MAC address is something which is the hardware number of that particular device. Now let's say you're using a PC, okay? So that PC, when you open that PC, have you ever seen that when you open a PC there are many chip and the boards, circuits kind of things inside the box PC, right? Yeah. I mean the electronic box and all that kind of. Since you're an electronics engineer, electrical and electronics, so so there are a lot many PCs and boards about it, right? So all those PCs and boards are identified by a unique address, okay, which is called the MAC address. MAC. This is MAC address. Okay, that is called the MAC address. Okay. So in my previous example, when I was telling you about the normal communication which is happening over the the device, this device. Okay. You see this device in my previous example, the first example of ours, this one. Okay. So what happens is this device, not only stores the IP addresses of the machine which is connected to it, okay, it also stores the MAC address of that machine. Okay, so Bob will be having a certain IP address and of course his machine will be having a certain MAC address as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So what this device will do, this device, it will store, there is a table in this device which will store the IP address also and the MAC address also of this device, the hardware address of this device. Okay.
Okay.
So that this device knows that this particular hardware address 1 belongs to Bob's machine.
Okay.
Okay. So this MAC address is mapped with the IP address of Bob machine. Okay. So let's say the IP address is 10.10.10.1. Okay. So that 10.10.10.1 will be mapped with the MAC address of this Bob's machine. Now you see my screen. Okay, there is something like this. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, one moment. All right, hold on. So this is my screen. This is my command prompt. Okay, this is my machine. Okay, when I say ipconfig/all. Okay.
Okay.
Now you see over here. Just a moment. Now you see this. There's a tab called physical address. You're seeing this?
Yes.
Yes, the physical address. B8, C8, 3A, C3, C3, E5.
Yes.
Correct? So that is my MAC address.
Okay.
All right, that is my MAC address. That is the physical address. That is the physical address of my physical chipboard of my laptop. All right.
Okay.
And this is the IP address of my machine. 10.254.254.56 IPv4 address. That's what you're saying, right? So what happens in that networking device? This IP address, this number, is mapped with this number.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever any communication is supposed to happen, okay, the networking device will see, okay, fine, this IP address. Yeah, because you cannot remember this MAC address because it is very complex to remember. Okay,
right.
You can remember this IP address, which is easy to remember, 10.254.54.56. Okay, but it's very difficult to remember this one. You cannot remember if there are many machines in the network. You cannot. All right. So when you try to ping it, okay, let's say you try to ping it. Ping means well, you know how to ping, right? Let's say you ping google.com, correct, in your internet. Right, let's say something like this. Ping google.com, right? Something like this, right? So same way, I'm pinging this IP address, okay? When I'm pinging the IP address, you're seeing this? I'm getting a reply, something called reply. That means what is ping is when you're trying to knock any IP address, it replies with you back saying that, hey, I'm the IP address. You're knocking me, you're ringing the phone to me. It's something like this. It's just like you just take an example of a phone call. You dial a particular number. Okay. So the other guy picks up the phone and he replies, okay, fine. You're calling me using this reply. Reply. Yeah. So the same way. So when these guys are connected to a device, okay, they have the MAC address. So this IP address is mapped to my MAC address, hardware address. Right? So whenever a networking device try to communicate the other device, so when I'm trying to message the IP address, is hardware address I cannot remember. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to message that particular IP address, right, which is mapped with the hardware address. So this switch sees, okay, fine, I'm getting the request from Bob's machine, and what is the destination it is requesting to? Okay, fine, that is the MAC address and IP address. Let me forward the request to them so that he can access the machine. So that's how it works.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Fine. So you're understanding, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. So let's go ahead, and there is something. The basics of networking starts with the OSI reference model. Okay, this is the model. This is the networking model on which your entire networking concept works. There are 7 layers of it, and on all these 7 layers here, all the networking concept works.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Fine. So let's go ahead. Let's go down. Now you see this. These are your 7 networking layers.
Okay.
Okay, you see this?
Okay, I can see layers.
So, yeah, physical layer. the data link layer, the network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and the application layer. Okay. Now the short form to remember it is using the first word of each one, please.
Yes.
D. All right.
D.
So there's a famous saying. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Please do not touch Sally's personal appliances. Right?
Okay. Can you tell me again?
Please.
Please do not touch.
Do not, and for not.
Okay.
Touch.
Okay.
Yeah. Sally's personal appliances.
Okay.
Easy to remember?
Yes, sir.
Easy to remember? Yeah.
Yes.
So like that way you can remember, serially which layer comes first. So physical layer, data link layer, yeah.
Yes.
Network layer, transport, session, presentation, and application, right?
Right.
Okay. Now on all these layers, based on these layers, your networking works. Okay. Now when I say physical layer means it's a total physical, layer. That means physical deals with the cables, the wires, and all. Right? Your PC might be connected to some LAN cable right now, correct?
Okay.
Right? So that is called the physical layer.
Physical layer. Okay.
Okay, that is physical layer. Next to it is the data link layer. Right?
Okay.
Data link layer is also called layer 2 because it is a layer. This is layer 1, this is layer 2. Okay?
Okay.
Data link layer is something on layer 2 and it works totally on MAC addresses. That's what just now we have seen the MAC addresses. Right?
Okay.
So MAC addresses, the hardware addresses, deals with the layer 2. Okay? The third one is the network layer. Network layer deals with the IP addresses. Just now we saw, right? In the command prompt, the IP address. So the IP address are a part of layer 3. Okay. All right. So now what I mean to say is, now let's say the physical layer. So let's say I'm sitting over here, right? I'm presenting my screen to you. Okay. And you're sitting over here. Okay. You're seeing my screen, correct? So how are we connected over the wire, right?
Right.
Though we are, the distance apart. I mean, this is part of the world, but still, I have a physical connectivity which is being given by my ISP, right? And you are having a physical connectivity which is given by your ISP, right? Correct. Right. So this connectivity is called the layer 1. That is the physical layer.
Physical layer. Okay.
Now, when we go to data link layer, now in between our devices, there will be many devices, which will be coming in between this. I might be having a different kind of switch or different kind of networking devices, right?
Right.
The device which stores the MAC address, is the data link layer. This is the data link layer. Further, a layer after, there is a device called router. You might have heard about routers. Right?
Yeah.
So router are layer 3 devices. And the router are the devices which connects the two extreme edges. These are the edge devices. So the router connects to the router and then it goes to your way. So these are the important devices. These are the edge devices. So router works at layer 3, the network layer. So in case if you get a question in CCNA, which is the layer 3 device, that means it's a router. And the switches are the layer 2 device. So if you get a question in CCNA, what is the layer 2 device? You say switches. So routers
sorry to disturb you. So switches come to layer 2, right?
Yes, switches come to layer 2 and routers come to layer 3. So switches works on MAC addresses. And routers works on IP addresses. All right. Now, if we go further, there is something called transport layer, right? So transport layer, what it does is, now I'm presenting one file to you. You're seeing my file on my laptop.
Yes.
Correct. So there is the function of transport layer is to establish a reliable connection between two PCs, right? What I mean to say is this is my PC, and this is your machine. You're seeing my machine, right?
Right.
Through some internet connectivity, right?
Right.
So there is a reliable connection happening between my machine and your machine, so that you are able to view it properly. There should not be any disconnection. Everything should be working fine, right? Okay.
Right.
So that is a function of transport layer, right?
Okay.
To establish a reliable connection between the two machines, even though it doesn't matter wherever they are sitting in any part of the world. Okay. So that is transport layer function. Okay. Now next is session layer. Now, as the name suggests, session layer is something. Right now, I'm presenting my machine to your machine. You are able to see the files of my machine, right? So there is a session which is happening between my machine and your machine, right? Just like a phone call, right? When you call up, any phone, right, to a different phone, right? At that time, you are talking only to that particular number, correct? Or your mobile phone, all right? So it's a kind of session has been established between those two phones, right? So similarly, there is a session which is established between my machine and your machine, so that you are able to view my machine. Only you can view my machine and I can view your machine, all right, and vice versa. Right. So that is the function of the session layer. Okay. Now, next is the presentation layer. Okay. Now the function of the presentation layer is to present the data in such a way, right, that you are able to understand the data. That means, let's say I'm presenting my file to you. Okay. Now over the wire, I'm sending just the signal kind of stuff. I'm sending a data. Okay. But that will travel. How it will be traveling in the bits. As you're a student, you might be understanding the bits, zeros and ones, right? 0 1 0 1. Right. Digital signals, right? So the signals which is traveling over the wire are a kind of digital signals, 0 1, right? Which carries the data, right? Correct. So when it reaches to your end, right? These digital signals will be converted to, in layer 2, it will be converted to something called frames. Right? Something called, before it reaches to routers, right? Because routers are the edge devices. Routers are the layer 3 devices. So once the digital signals comes over here, this gets converted to packets. Packets are converted to frames. And then this frames is being torn up, and then the original data you are able to see. That's how the communication is happening, right? So the data which is now these zeros and ones, if it is being presented in front of anyone, they will not be understanding, like, what is the data and how is it presented. They may not be able to read it, right? So the function of presentation layer is to elaborate this digital signal and present in such a way that you should be able to read it. Right? I'm presenting a file, but it is going in the format of digital signal to you, right? But you are able to view this file because presentation layer is making sure that it should be present. It is in a more readable format that you should be able to read it, right? Either this file, or let's say I'm presenting a video file to you, right? JPEG, MPEG, anything, right? So it is readable in more easy format. So that is the job of the presentation layer. All right. And finally, the application layer. So the application layer is something more kind of the user interface. Now, what is user interface? The user interface is something what we actually use, right? Now, let's say this is the Skype window in front of my machine, right? Skype. Correct. So the presentation layer, what it is doing, it is presenting the data in a more readable format. And application layer is like this Skype, which is actually user interface, which I'm actually using, because I'm using Skype to type something over here, right? I might be using anything like this is like in the PDF file is something which I'm just showing over here. I can type anything over here, I can draw anything, right? So this is like a user interface for me. So that is the job of the application layer, to provide the user interface, right? So that is the difference between all the 7 layers. That's how the 7 layer works. So all these 7 layers constitutes, how the networking, how the communication will happen over the different machine, either one-to-one machine or one-to-many machines, or servers, anything. So this is the basic concept how your networking works. So networking works over here, all these 7 layers. Okay, and each layer is having its own functionality which performs its jobs well, so that a good communication happens over the network.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You understood? Any queries?
No, I understand.
You understand, right? Okay, fine.
Okay.
So that's how about it. So this is the OSI layer of it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So this was just a basic concept for today. Okay. So from tomorrow, we'll be starting a full-fledged classes.
Okay.
So wherein we'll be going ahead and we'll be studying all the basics of the CCNAs and all those kind of stuffs.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
So just want to know, Anika, one thing. What is the local time right now over there? Is it the morning time?
Okay.
No. Is it the morning time over there? LA?
Yes, it's 11 o'clock. It's a morning 11.
Morning 11 o'clock, right? Okay, no problem. So what I was saying is it okay? I mean, you want to start the class every day at 10:30, or any 10:30 is the feasible time for you?
No, how about 10 o'clock? You will able to take class from 10 o'clock, 10 a.m.?
Yeah, 10 is also fine for me. Or even 9:30.